Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, what a game. There's a lot to unpack here, but I'll give the breakdown this way. First thing, so Arteta has finally beaten Pep Guardiola in the league. I think it was always a matter of time, given the progress that Arsenal has been making. But it was a hill that this Arsenal team needed to cross. Um, Before today, Pep Guardiola and Man City are the only team that Arsenal had failed to beat in the league since Arteta took over. And speaking of Arteta, Arteta finally got it right today. A lot of times we've talked about him possibly being naive in trying to dominate the City side that we know is capable of doing it all. You high press them, they can go long. You sit off too much, and they will pick you off. And today, I think he finally got that balance right. It was a surprise to see Jorginho in the lineup. I was hoping Partey would be that player, but it looks like Partey is not fit enough yet to play full game. And so you have both Rice and Jorginho sitting deep. And man, I have to say, I love what Declan Rice is doing. This is the midfielder that Arsenal have been crying out for since Vieira left in 2005. He was instrumental in breaking up plays. Wherever there was danger, he was there to snuff it out. And speaking of the setup, I don't know if you all caught it, but all four of Arteta's subs actually combined for the Arsenal goal. It was a long diagonal ball from Thomas Partey over to Tomiyasu, who found himself in City's box. Nodded down to Kai Havertz, who took it on his chest, brought it down, controlled it, and laid it off to Martinelli. Speaking of the setup, that was something that I found very fascinating in the way City tried to choke off Arsenal and compensate for the loss of Rodri. I don't know if you all watched our preview of this game on Friday, but we talked about how City might set up in midfield to counter for Rodri's loss, and the fact that winning against City is the key to that is in being able to pin their fullbacks back. So in midfield, a lot of times when Arsenal was in possession, City choked off the midfield. They essentially brought in Alvarez and Rico Lewis and Haaland, and then another three of Foden, Kovacic, and Bernardo Silva. Those that six essentially formed like a rectangle and closed in, so that Arsenal really only had options to play off to the side, and then that's where you won. You don't want teams driving through the middle. And so they were then able to close Arsenal down on the wings. And a lot of times, Arsenal found it hard to build out from the back in the first half. City dominated possession in the first half with possession of about 55%. But Arteta got it right. In starting with two sixes, we were able to essentially ensure that us Man City couldn't just play through the team and score. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I don't know how Kovacic did not get a red card. When I saw that first yellow card after the tackle on Martin Odegaard, I realized it was Michael Oliver, and my dislike for Michael Oliver seems to grow every time I see him ref in an Arsenal game. And then there was an equally bad tackle against Rice, a few minutes later that didn't even warrant a yellow card, which should have been a yellow and a second yellow for the red. So that was another key point from the game. Um, Third thing to take away from this game was Arsenal is now able to finally find belief. I think this doesn't mean they're going to go on to win the league, but I think there was a mental block at the end of last season where they lost key players, and there was a question of can they do it? Can they go ahead and win the title? And the two City games that the team lost were actually the difference. If they had won at least one of those games or not lost both games, they might essentially have won the league. So, with that aside, congrats to this Arsenal team. City have now lost two games back to back, and that is what happens when you miss a player of Rodri's stature. I said it on Friday. He is so key, so instrumental to the way this City team is set up. Pep found actually brilliant compensation for him today. I don't think they missed Rodri as much today, but what that did was it then stifled the other players because in having to stay so compact, where Rodri could be trusted to close out some of those gaps that the attack-minded players like Bernardo Silva and Foden can feel free to attack. They were not able to do that as much. So yep, that's it. Beautiful game.